Every parent wants the best for their children, for them to be happy and to achieve their potential. Your child's ability to learn and grow plays a major part in their ability to reach these goals. Unfortunately for many children, learning is anything but easy. I want to introduce you to a truly revolutionary training program that helps to make learning easier. It is called PACE, Processing and Cognitive Enhancement. As a concerned parent, you have seen that some children simply have difficulty learning. For the student who has limited attention, poor memory, who works slowly, or has persistent difficulty grasping material, the road to successful learning is confusing, frustrating, and often ends in failure. What happens when additional time and personal tutoring are unable to address the fundamental issues underlying the student's lack of progress? In the next few minutes, this video will present to you a powerful tool you can use to help your child move toward a lifetime of successful learning. PACE is truly innovative. It is designed to address a wide range of learning challenges. PACE promotes academic achievement by strengthening your child's underlying learning skills. These processing and retention skills are vital for easy, fast, fun learning. The PACE program is direct and effective. In only 12 short weeks, your student will experience a significant and lasting improvement in the areas of attention, short and long-term memory, visual and auditory processing, comprehension, logic and reasoning. PACE students see an average gain in cognitive skills of 3.6 years. The partnership between PACE, your learning professional, and you will produce a lifetime of positive results. Successful completion of the PACE program will have a powerful impact on your child's future education, self-esteem, and earning potential. The fact that you are viewing this video means you have chosen a learning professional who has the tools, the support, and the program to help families like yours. The combined teamwork of a qualified learning professional and a committed parent will have a powerful impact in the life of a willing student. PACE is the result of 17 years of development, research, and clinical experience. It was developed by a small team of passionate, dedicated doctors and educators. In its early model, PACE and its predecessor were offered as a doctors-only pilot program. This was its initial proving ground. Based on outstanding initial results, PACE was further refined, expanded, and then released to a network of private tutors and providers, as well as to a limited number of learning centers. Those early providers and their 10,000 plus students experienced positive, consistent results. Their success paved the way for nationwide access to the PACE program, and it is now available to you. The history of PACE is exciting, but its future promises to be revolutionary. Consider the following facts. PACE students realize a 3.6-year average gain in previously deficient skills within 3 months. Students tested 1 year after completing the program show a 98.7% retention rate. Students completing PACE and the related reading program, Master the Code, average over 4 years gain in reading and spelling skills within 3 months, and many experience a 7 or more year gain. Students struggling with letter reversal, a common problem in slow readers, experience a cure rate of 87%. Although PACE was not originally designed to improve IQ, students with an IQ score testing at under 100 gain an average of 28.2 points in 3 months. When their initial IQ score is over 100, the average gain is 9.9 points. It is important to note that these results are not based on a small sample study. Thousands of students from a wide range of age, gender, economic, and geographical backgrounds document the success of the PACE program. And now your child can begin to enjoy results such as these in just 12 short weeks. Listen to these comments about the impact of the PACE program.
PACE is a program that we have been thrilled to be able to use because it hits such a cross-section of our students with learning and emotional difficulties. I think one of my favorite anecdotes here about PACE involves a student who was a sophomore in high school, very athletic, pitcher on the baseball team, on and on. He did not want to come for academic tutoring, let alone cognitive training, although he had been identified with massive learning disabilities before school as a 4-year-old. However, after about a month's time on PACE, he could hardly wait to get there, and we honestly had fun with our sessions. He was reading for the first time in his life, and when he took the post-test, great big guy, he had tears in his eyes, and because he knew he'd done so well. And he said to me, "I'm not really stupid, am I?"
I have a son who's 8 years old. He's in 3rd grade in a public school system in our community. He's been tested and has been confirmed that he has learning disabilities. He was really struggling with reading and writing, and they were going to require a lot of writing this year. So I was really nervous about sending him. He is almost through the program. He has a couple weeks left, and we're seeing huge improvements. He's reading almost at grade level. Now he's doing 3rd grade spelling words. His writing has improved.
An example that changed my life is that I went and took the admissions test to Pikes Peak Community College about 3 months, probably about 6 months before I took the course. And at that time, I scored really low on my English. I got 73 on reading and 56 on the grammar comprehension. And I took it actually 5 months after that I finished the course. I retook the admissions test, and I got a 93 on reading and a 73 on comprehension.
We thought that our son at the age of 17 had no hope, that it was too late to change, and we were proven wrong. My sincere advice to any parents, single or a husband and wife, that is concerned about their son or daughter who has been failing in school, don't give up. Explore PACE. I recommend it with all of my heart and stand behind it 100%.
Certain signs often indicate a lifetime of learning problems. These problems mean difficulty in understanding new material at school and work, and cause limitations on personal development. A variety of behaviors can signal learning problems. Difficulty paying attention, trouble remembering instructions, difficulty sounding out words and reading, spelling errors when writing, struggles in comprehending what has been read, working slowly or complaining that a task is too hard, reversing letters and words, repeatedly making careless errors. These and other symptoms alert us to the probability of deeper learning problems. What are the causes? Inadequate instruction is one possibility. However, it is rarely the only cause for learning difficulties. Are other students learning successfully in the same environment? If the answer is yes, then poor instruction is not the cause. Could the cause be lack of motivation? Assessing an individual student's level of motivation is tricky. Many parents feel their child could take more interest in their studies, and this may be true. Years of discouragement can work against a student's desire to learn, but the resulting lack of motivation is seldom the reason they can't learn. Lack of motivation is most often the result of a learning problem, not the cause. What is the most common cause? The most common reason for a learning difficulty is a lack of underlying learning skills. These skills are the tools the student brings to each new learning experience. Why do some students master new material quickly and others struggle with it for hours? The difference is in the learning tools they bring to the task. The need for a full set of strong skills or learning tools can be illustrated this way. A guitarist is given a piece of music to play. If he fails to notice that a string is broken on his guitar, it doesn't matter how accomplished a player he might be or how well written the new music is. The piece simply cannot be played properly. He needs all 6 strings, or tools, to produce the right sound. The other 5 strings may be strong and tuned, but the one that is broken becomes the limit of his ability to produce music. As this illustration points out, one or more weak learning skills can sabotage the entire learning process. Students need a full, strong set of learning skills or tools to learn quickly and easily. Unfortunately, many students do not have a full, strong set of these learning skills. What are these underlying skills, and how do they impact learning? A look at the different components of learning will answer the question. The learning process begins with the gathering of sensory information by sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. The processing system does something with what is seen or heard. It works much like your computer processor. It attends to new information, analyzes it, links it with the past experience, and then sends orders to the motor system to respond. The response to the information that we have both received and processed may include actions such as running, writing, or speaking. Successful learning depends heavily on a strong, efficient processing system, particularly the active processing system. The active processing system is the mind's work center. It depends upon working memory and attention so that it can retain the incoming information until it is analyzed. It also calls on additional mental skills to work with or process the incoming information. For example, long-term memory is used to compare incoming information with past experiences. Visual processing skills are required to discriminate and analyze incoming visual information. Auditory processing skills analyze and process sound information that is needed to learn to read. Problem solving requires logic and reasoning skills, while listening and reading requires comprehension skills for understanding. This entire process is governed by a planning function. The strength of each individual mental skill and how efficiently they work together determines the student's ability to handle and process information. In other words, to learn. Every activity in life benefits from strong, effective, underlying learning skills. The PACE program is the most effective tool for identifying and building these essential skills in your child. Recent scientific research suggests that stimulating the mind with mental exercise causes brain cells to branch extensively. This branching causes millions of additional connections to form between cells. Arnold Scheibel, the former director of UCLA's Brain Research Institute, interprets this as getting a bigger memory board for your computer that allows you to do more things more quickly. This is the concept behind the PACE program. PACE provides you with powerful tools that target and train various processing skills, turning problems into progress. Remember our frustrated guitarist? He can illustrate the options we have in dealing with learning difficulties. When he realizes his guitar is not producing the music he expects, remember it has a broken string, and by now a couple more are out of tune, he has 3 choices. First, he can abandon his hope to ever play the piece as it is written, and in defeat, try some simple melody line version of the song. He might come out with a recognizable tune, but he won't sound like the accomplished player he really is. Secondly, he might try to play all the chords and runs using the other places he finds the notes on the guitar. He can do it by making up new finger positions and with a lot of extra work. It's a lot harder to play the piece this way than it should be, and you can bet he won't be too excited to try many new pieces. It's just too much work and takes too much time. By now you recognize there's an obvious third option. Attack the problem by fixing the broken string and tuning all of them to perform like they should. This option takes the right tools, a little effort, and it means spending a short amount of time before actually trying to play the piece. But just listen to the results of this approach. This third option is the PACE approach to overcoming learning difficulties. Unfortunately, not everyone chooses this approach. A common so-called solution in general education is to accommodate a student with perceived learning difficulties in an isolated and often dead-end special education program. Here, the student is buried under labels such as slow learner, ADD, ADHD, and possibly managed with medication. Their true potential is mistakenly cast away, and they are on a permanent path to low achievement. A second strategy is to compensate by ignoring their weakness and constructing a program that takes advantage of their relative strengths. This is better than the accommodation choice, but it still leaves the student with severe learning limits and vulnerable to future failure. Remember that most learning challenges faced later in life will not be so carefully structured. The best choice by far is to attack the specific weaknesses that cause the learning trouble and strengthen them once and for all. PACE is your tool to do exactly that. The time and effort required to identify and strengthen the weak underlying skills and tune up their entire skill set will pay a lifetime benefit to your student. Learning will immediately get easier and will continue to get easier as the student faces future learning challenges with a full, robust set of learning tools. By making the commitment to partner with your learning professional and the PACE program, you are equipping yourself with the best tool to enhance your child's capacity to learn. Through careful evaluation, barriers to learning are identified. PACE then targets and strengthens your child's weak processing skills. Rapid improvement in these key areas has the greatest impact on learning. PACE is a program that is unique, innovative, and highly successful. A first-hand look at a few procedures will illustrate the value and long-term benefits PACE can offer your family.
Yellow, green, blue,
red,
green,
yellow,
red,
down,
blue,
left,
yellow,
purple,
blue,
orange,
yellow,
yellow,
red,
green.
You
green.
start with the top number of column C and the bottom number of column D, and it would go something like this: 1 5 5 3 3 6 7 5 2 1 4 3. The next level is you're going to call out the direction of the arrow as if they were turned a quarter turn clockwise on every other beat.
Down, up, up, left, 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 down, left, up.
And where you're going, you're going to close your eyes. You can't use your fingers to help you. You can't try the whole before you actually put it down on paper. Okay, and I'm going to be watching your eyes to make sure they're closed.
Master the Code is a highly acclaimed remedial reading and spelling program offered exclusively through LearningRx Associates. It is designed to take full advantage of the cognitive training offered through PACE. In 3 months, students going through both programs average over a 4-year gain in reading and spelling. The PACE program has no equal. It is the best tool for maximizing your child's learning potential. This brings us to a very important decision. When choosing a response to existing learning problems, will you accommodate the problems as a permanent limitation for your child? Compensate for the problems and try to work around the difficulty? Or will you attack the problem head-on and find a solution? When you choose PACE for your child, you choose to secure a long-term solution to their learning difficulties. Your investment in this remarkable program will yield superior results for your child within a few short months. The positive impact of completing the PACE program will enhance their life for years to come. The creators of PACE are committed to making your child's dream of achievement come true. For more information about this remarkable program, contact your PACE provider.
In this activity, we'll be using a colored arrow and colored word chart to develop several types of skills: concentration skills, attention skills, and processing speed. We're going to use the colored words to demonstrate how we develop several types of attention skills. The first type of activity we'll work on will develop sustained attention, which is the ability to do something for a long period of time. Let's give a brief example. Greg, I'd like you to read the words on the chart to every beat.
Green, blue, red, yellow, black, red, green, blue, black, yellow, red, blue, green, black.
The second type of skill that we'll develop is selective attention, and that's the ability to focus on one thing and ignore another. This time I'll ask Greg to focus on the color of the word and ignore the actual word that's printed. So Greg, read for me the color of the ink that the word is printed in, and do this to every other beat.
Blue, yellow, black, blue, green, yellow, green, black, blue, green, black, green, red, black.
The third part of the activity will focus on divided attention skills. That's the ability to focus on several things at the same time. So I'll be asking Greg to focus on the word and also on the color and to alternate between those. So Greg, this time I'd like you to read the word and then the color and alternate to every other beat.
Green, yellow, red, blue, black, yellow, green, black, black, green, red, green, green, black.
In this activity, we'll be using number cards to develop concentration, memory, visual span, and visualization skills. Notice on the number cards that it's set up much like a tic-tac-toe board, and I'll have Greg recall the numbers and the blanks from left to right. We'll also be using a metronome to force him to concentrate even more fully. Ready? Go.
1, 2, 3, 4. Blank, 8, blank, blank, 7, blank, 3, blank, 4.
Ready? Go.
1, 2, 3, 4. Blank, blank, 9, 4, blank, 8, 1, blank, blank.
Good. Now we'll be adding some complexity, and what I'll ask Greg to do is to add 2 to each number that he sees on the card. Ready? Go.
1, 2, 3, 4. 2, blank, blank, 5, blank, 10, blank, blank, 8.
Ready? Go.
1, 2, 3, 4. Blank, 5, 3, blank, 9, blank, 8, blank, blank.
Good. Notice how we forced Greg to concentrate to the beat of the metronome. And also, as I turned the card away, he would have to take a visual picture of the card in order to improve his visualization skills. In the PACE auditory processing program, we force students to analyze, manipulate, blend, and segment the sounds in words. In this activity, we'll be working to master the vowel sounds. Throughout the whole PACE auditory processing program, our goal is to develop the auditory processing or phonemic awareness skills for a student. In this activity, Greg, I'd like you to replace the vowel sound in the word that I say with the vowel sounds that you see on this sheet. Blib.
Blib, bleb, blab, blub, lob.
Crin.
Crin, cran, cran, crun, crun.
Slud.
Slid, sled, slad, slud, slod.
Prid.
Prid, pred, prad, prud, prod.
Drit.
Drit, drit, drat, drut, drot.
Notice the speed with which Greg was replacing the vowels in this activity. You'll find throughout the PACE auditory processing program that it's extremely powerful and helps quickly to develop the student's auditory processing or phonemic awareness skills. This is one of our powerful procedures that we call the speed letters. It helps to improve concentration, visual span, discrimination of letters, and fixation. Most importantly, it also works to quickly improve a student's processing speed skills. In this activity, Greg, what I'd like you to do is to circle one letter. As you come to each S, work as quickly as you can and circle the S. Ready? Begin. Notice how this activity also forces Greg to use his selective attention skills by focusing only on the S and ignoring all the other letters that he's attending to. As you can see, as we work quickly through this activity, it works very strongly to improve a student's processing speed skills. This is a higher level of the same procedure, but it will be improving a number of different skills. First of all, we'll be demonstrating discrimination of different letters, which will help to eliminate reversal problems for students. We'll also work on divided attention skills, which again is the ability to do a number of things at the same time, what some people call multitasking. We'll also be working on loading, and you'll see that demonstrated by Greg having, as he comes to each letter, to circle it or put a square around it, do a different shape around each of the letters. He'll also be counting to a metronome at the same time, and I'll be giving him numbers to add up at the end of each line. And that's called loading because we're loading a number of different things onto the task. We do this throughout a number of the PACE procedures, but you'll see a very high level of it, how we do it in the speed letters. So Greg, I'm going to turn on the metronome and I'd like you to start. Ready? Begin.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
2,
6, 7, 8, 9,
5,
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 7, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20,
3,
21, 22, 23, 24, 25,
2,
26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 5.
As you can see, this is a very complex activity where we loaded a number of activities on and developed lots of skills, the processing speed, the concentration, and also the divided attention skills. So throughout the PACE procedures, as we get to higher levels and we load these things on, we're developing multiple skills at the same time.
We have been using PACE at the Stowell Learning Center for the past 2.5 years. At our center, we work with students of all ages who have learning disabilities, Asperger's syndrome, high-functioning autism, a few slow learners, and a group of students that I would call inefficient learners, students that may be getting very good grades in school, but are working too hard and too long for the grades that they're getting. We have found that PACE is a very good tool for all of these groups of students. When I first brought PACE into the center, I thought, well, this is a new tool, we'll give it a shot. We knew that we already had some very strong, very cutting-edge kinds of programs and strategies that were really working for us. But once we got going with the PACE program, I really felt it was truly the most exciting thing I had seen in this field in 15 years. And PACE in the last 2.5 years has become the core piece of our therapy. My goal for students is that they become comfortable, independent learners. And in order to do that, I always am looking for the very best, the most efficient tools that are out there. I also know that if I'm really going to make a lasting impact on students with learning disabilities, I have to be using strategies that help develop those underlying thinking processes that allow a person to be an efficient learner. the PACE program does that. In the way that it's set up, it is fun, it's fast-paced, and one of the things I really like about it is that all of the activities have several different processing skills integrated into them. So maybe you're working with an activity that's directed mainly at memory, but you're also getting the opportunity to work on attention, processing speed, and auditory processing. So it just gives you an opportunity to just tap that nail in all those processing skill areas over and over in a fun and quick-paced way.
My name is Suzanne Wolf. I think the biggest advantage that PACE gives my students is to become truly educated. I have been able to tutor children one-on-one for a long time and improve their grades. That's not education. Education is to be able to take knowledge and apply it. The way the cognitive training overlaps so many different areas, it allows my students to go into classes and start concentrating on learning the material, not just trying to memorize so much and learn enough to get a passing grade. That's the mark of real education. I think one of my favorite anecdotes here about PACE involves a student who was a sophomore in high school, very athletic, pitcher on the baseball team, on and on. He did not want to come for academic tutoring, let alone cognitive training, although he had been identified with massive learning disabilities before school as a 4-year-old. His father was a physician. He would not work on PACE with his mother, and he was only begrudgingly being polite to me. However, after about a month's time on PACE, he could hardly wait to get there, and we honestly had fun with our sessions. He worked harder than almost any other student I had. His father, as a physician, told me afterwards that he wished he'd had a chance to take PACE himself, because just through the tutoring, he said if he could have had it before med school, it would have improved his memory, and he's been a long-time emergency room physician. But this young man, who is wonderful in terms of his attitude now, because of his self-confidence, has increased so enormously now. With ADHD as one of his diagnoses, he has all of the textbook perfect predispositions to oppositional behaviors and so on and so forth. But I'll never forget one day when he was having a spelling test in school, and he was phenomenal at some of the modules, spelling 12, 13-letter words backwards. So he went in and took a spelling test, and he got an A. His teacher said to him, "I know you cheated." And he was deflated. He was thunderstruck, and he said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You got 100 on the test, but I know you cheated." He said, "I did not." He said, "I told you I've been in this training program, and I can spell these words backwards too if you want me to." And she said, "Well, you may be able to spell them, but you certainly don't know what they mean." And he sat back in his chair, displaying perhaps one of the behaviors that we were unable to correct, but he said to her, "I don't think I like your belligerent behavior." And I just loved it, because he was taking in the spelling as well as the meaning. And his scores, he was reading for the first time in his life. And when he took the post-test, great big guy, he had tears in his eyes, and because he knew he'd done so well. And he said to me, "I'm not really stupid, am I?"
My name is Carol Hess. I'm a provider in the Sacramento, California area. I have been teaching high school for the last 20 years. I got an opportunity to become the vice principal for a while, and I found out the common denominator was that kids who were struggling with learning became discipline problems and ended up dropping out of school. One of the things that I found is that kids who think of themselves as poor learners or stupid give up, and they have no hope, and then they become discipline problems. As a provider, I've taken in about 15 children through this program now, and if you had an opportunity to listen to the parents, they say things like, "I've got my kid back," or "How does this work? I don't know how it works," but all of a sudden they want to read, and they didn't want to read before. One of the students, his name is Alex. When he came to us, he was on 3 different drugs medications to handle his hyperactivity and bipolar, and was not even functioning well in private school. When he began the program, he came in disappointed, depressed, angry. He didn't want to try anything. By the end of the 5th week, He bound in every single day and just finished with his testing and is now in public school. 50% of his medications have been dropped off, and he's performing at grade level for the first time in his life. Another child I want to tell you about, his name is Kelly. Kelly's parents were told that she should be held back in 3rd grade, and her parents said, no, I don't think so. Kelly went through the program this summer and entered in the school in September, having just finished the program. Parents reported to me that not only is she excelling in her class, she has actually been put up a year into the 1-year higher reading level and is able to do math facts that she's never been able to do before.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Betancourt. We had a young boy in 3rd grade by the name of Alex who went through our PACE program. He was in 3rd grade reading on a 1st grade level. After 10 weeks in this case of intensive training, Alex caught up very quickly with the rest of his class within a month after the PACE program and was reading actually on a 4th grade level. His mother stated that before he would never attempt to read, and it was a struggle to get him to do all of his homework. They would spend approximately 2.5 to 3 hours every night. And she stated it was causing a lot of family disruption, and Alex just felt like he was a failure in school. After the program, again, he came back up to age level with his reading, and his mother states that she spends very little, if any, time. Alex does most of his homework on his own now and carries books with him wherever he goes. He's a very active athlete, and whenever he goes to soccer matches, he always carries 2 or 3 books and loves to read. We have been a provider of the PACE program for several years now and have had many stories. All the children that have been through the program have benefited tremendously and have made great gains in school. There's been a lot of transfer from the skills practicing into the classroom setting, and the parents have been surprised at how that transfer has taken place with the type of training and skill activities that we stress in our program, and how that is able to then transfer in the academic environment. And many of the children have had tremendous success in the school after going through the program.
We had a mom that was very frustrated with her 10-year-old boy, and when he came in, he was very short attention span, couldn't stay on task very long, but by the end of the program, and after he graduated the program, 2 weeks into the new school year, his mom called us and said she had never, ever, 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 ever had to tell her son to quit reading before he went to bed, and she couldn't believe the other changes that he was getting in school, and it's just been an amazing thing.
Hi, my name is Bridget Zoltek, and I'm the director of the Kurt Center for Cognitive Development in Winter Park, Florida. We've been in existence to treat cognitive training issues for over 15 years. In the past year, we've brought on the PACE program, and we've been a licensed PACE provider. During that time, we've seen phenomenal changes in our clients. And what we've seen is an increase of anywhere from 2 to 10 years in several, not just one, but many areas of cognition. And we've also, from the business standpoint, it's really helped our business stay in business this year because it has reduced our labor cost. The way that we were doing things before entailed a lot of individualized planning, and we were getting good results. But with this way, we don't have to spend hours and hours. For every hour that we teach, we don't have to spend an hour planning. So it's made it a much better, well-oiled, efficient machine from the business standpoint. Overall, we see the PACE program as a very nice win-win for a therapeutic and a business mix. We were always able to achieve good results at our center. The PACE program, however, has allowed us to achieve higher and more consistent results, as well as in a shorter amount of time. This has allowed us to serve our clients faster, and it's reduced the overall bill of our clients. One comment that we get from other professionals is they have a problem with the fact that the testing results aren't normed for the Gibson and that they're not standardized enough. So we said, okay, fine, we'll use nationally normed standardized tests. Let me show you. And so then we replaced a few of the Gibsons with other tests that measured the same things, and we're still showing the same results. So it just doesn't matter if you're not teaching to the test, they're changing. They're totally changing. So it doesn't matter what measure you use as long as it's a valid measure.
You know, one thing I would say that is applicable to all the students that I have trained is, in terms of their successes, is that not only do we progress through the levels of the various procedures that seem right to help them, and the success in those, but it is that tremendous sense of accomplishment that they feel in achieving those levels, that they get to the point where they feel like they can do any darn thing. And I really enjoy seeing that when they leave with that attitude.
When we listened to her reading, it was torture because her reading sounded very unnatural. She would skip entire lines. She would look at the first 2 letters of a word and guess the rest, and miss punctuation. Run sentences together. We looked around for a number of things to do, and we found a PACE provider that was 5 minutes from our house, so we decided to try PACE. At that time, we didn't expect a lot from the program, but since we wanted to try everything that we could to help our daughter, we decided it was worth a try. After 3 weeks, we kind of thought we saw an improvement in her reading, but we weren't sure. This is my husband and myself. After 4 weeks, we agreed that there was definitely an improvement in her reading fluency. After 8 weeks, it was very obvious, and by the time she finished the 12-week program, she was reading fluently on a 4th grade level.
I have a son who's 8 years old. He's in 3rd grade in a public school system in our community. He's been tested and has been confirmed that he has learning disabilities. He went into 3rd grade with an IEP, and with the consideration of holding him back in 2nd grade, and I pretty much refused keeping him back. And he was really struggling with reading and writing, and they were going to require a lot of writing this year. So I was really nervous about sending him. The special ed teacher in town, who I'm very good friends with, asked or told me about PACE and asked me if she could screen Robert, and I gladly accepted her offer. And he is almost through the program. He has a couple weeks left, and we're seeing huge improvements. He's reading almost at grade level now. He's doing 3rd grade spelling words. His writing has improved. He never used to enjoy being read to, which is kind of sad for me because I love to read to my kids. And recently, we've started reading at night, and he can't wait for me to read to him. He's constantly saying, "When are you going to read to me? Well, let's go read." And when we're reading it, it's time to stop. Don't stop, keep going. He's really into what I'm reading, and he's understanding it, which is really neat. I think that the program has really helped him out a lot.
My husband and I learned about the PACE program through a mutual friend of the Gibsons. And when we went to talk to Ken Gibson about the PACE program, we were incredibly impressed with the program itself and what he proposed that it could do. Our son, our youngest son, Greg, was having some learning difficulties throughout all grades of school, and we had tried everything in the book that could be tried. We had professional tutors work with him through phonics. We did Hooked on Phonics. We worked with him one-on-one time and again, and nothing seemed to help him. And we were at our wits' end because we saw his self-confidence just take a nosedive with each progressive year in school. So we started the PACE program, and we were astounded that within 2 weeks we started seeing a difference in our son, and the confidence levels start to be restored. because we knew he was intelligent, but we knew he didn't know how to tap in to that intelligence through skills. And he never learned them in school. The school programs teach in a different method. And even the phonics method we thought was the problem, but it wasn't. He could memorize, but then he was limited to just a small portion of what's really out there to learn. The change that we saw come over our son and the effect that the PACE program was having on Greg was his self-confidence just in himself, not even in educational realms, but he was even walking taller because he was accomplishing the tasks that were given to him to do in the PACE program, and he was succeeding in doing them. Even his outlook on life was brighter. He was looking at himself through different eyes than he had before. He was even taking on challenges in reading newspapers and magazines, whereas before he didn't care to read at all. Just even doing tasks around the home, I found myself not having to repeat things time and again because he wasn't remembering what I had asked him to do. He'd be able to do them in succession of my asking him to do them. I think one of the most profound discoveries that my husband and I had was that my husband thought that it was strictly a motivational problem with Greg, that he lacked the motivation, that he had a tendency to procrastinate and be lazy. Yet when he started to see the results from really the second week of taking PACE and on, he began to see for himself that it wasn't the lack of motivation, it was the lack of learning skills that my son had and was preventing him to learn what he needed to learn in school like building blocks. And once he started mastering these skills, then he was able to succeed in the next skill. And each skill, even though the difficulty level was raised, it almost became easier for him. I think one of the things that amazed my husband and me so very much in being parents and helping train him was that the difference was what he learned in 2 weeks under the PACE program versus semesters of tutoring and months of going through Hooked on Phonics, for example. We did not see any marked change in him with all the effort and time and money spent in the other programs. But in 2 weeks' time in PACE, we saw a marked change take place in our son, not only in his self-confidence, but in his abilities. I mean, it was just incredible, the tasks that he was able to stretch his mind in learning the skills to think. The difference in 2 weeks was just phenomenal. And even by the second and third lesson, when that was within the first week, I mean, he had the presidents of the United States memorized in order. It was just incredible. I sincerely believe that the PACE program and Master the Code that my son has taken has opened a world for him that otherwise would have remained shut. Traditional education simply failed him. This enabled him to learn the skills that are necessary for everyone, not just my son, but they're necessary for everyone to expand their mind to the greatest capacity and capabilities that our minds were created to do.